pilot, very fun to watch, so I don't mind at all. Yes, it's up against Snorlax, something that likes to block things into the active.
Yeah.
I'm curious how the Entei Valiant, with its multiple switches, is going to maneuver this matchup.
Yeah, you're going against a deck that's trying to stick you in the active versus a deck that has about a million ways to switch out of that. So I am very excited to see how this goes too. And I'm excited to see sort of a different variation in a deck too. You know, there's a lot of people that don't really like watching alternate decks, like a stall deck. But as I said at our last event in Knoxville, I'm actually excited to see a stall deck. I think in moderation, they're super fun to watch because they take so much skill. Every single tiny decision matters that much more because if you slip up even once, your opponent can capitalize on that. And we're going to have to see how this turns out. 2 Snorlax in the prize cards, Juancho.
Definitely. Maybe Snorlax taking a little bit of a break there from the game. Luckily, of course, you do play 4 of them. I believe there should be, there are ways to get them out of the prizes as well, so it shouldn't be that detrimental. Sydney in a couple of supporters prize, Palpad could be detrimental. Looking at Hale's prizes though, there's a switch card and a switch.
Yeah.
Those are cards you want. You definitely want those cards, but some would say maybe those are safer in the prizes than in the deck. So I was thinking about this matchup a lot. Again, this is a deck with a million switches, but there are cards like Misfortune Sisters that, you know, you're going to hit a lot of items in the deck. So maybe in the prizes, it's safe there. You'll take prizes eventually, and you'll eventually draw into those switches. So I'm actually not too bent up about it.
Well, we'll have to see how things turn out for both of these players. We had the fist bump. We're jumping into the match here. We're in our Swiss round 13 at Vancouver Regional Championship. We have some fun facts here from our players as well. Hale has actually been playing since 2007, but can't play as much now because his son is only 9 months old. That is adorable.
I got to see his baby he was right outside the booth.
Oh, that's so cute. Absolutely love it. And then over on Lucas's side, has only played in 2 regionals as a master and has day 2'd them both, Juancho.
Wow. All right. Starting out strong here in the Master Division then, and also starting us off pretty strong in the match as he is going to be our first turn player. Gets an S-Ball, has a Pokemon. That's good.
That is good. Starting with that Rotom V as well in the active position. Beautiful artwork of that too.
Beautiful artwork. Not the most ideal Pokemon in the active, that's for sure. I mean, the Pokemon you want in the active is going to be that Snorlax to block, to get your opponent's active stuck in the, sorry, your opponent's Pokemon stuck in the active.
Your opponent's active Pokemon stuck in the active position.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's just going to be the instant shards there again. Great ability, just draw cards. That's going to be, we're going to see that ability played multiple times in this tournament. But Hale, hey, opens up a great card.
Yeah, Battle VIP Pass. This is the last time you get to play it, and Hale is using that to his advantage here in this Iron Valiant, this Valiente deck here for Hale. So gonna look through the deck here and bring out 2 Pokemon onto the field. So let's just discuss this matchup here, Juancho. It's funny because, you know, looking at Lucas's deck list, there's 9 Pokemon, there's 50 trainer cards. For people who are maybe unfamiliar with this type of deck, how would you explain it, and how would you explain it going into this matchup versus Hale and this Valiente?
This is the deck that just tries to run you out of your resources. This is a deck that is not going to be taking any prize cards. It wins by, you're essentially going to deck out your opponent. And then, of course, the Valiant deck is something that puts on a lot of pressure if you can get there with the Entei and the Magma Basin. Again, Burning Rondo, there's 20 plus 20 for each bench Pokemon. Yeah. And then with the Magma Basin, you can essentially attack this turn 1. The tough thing here is, even if Hale gets an attack off, he's not doing that much damage. Again, Lucas only has 1 Snorlax. That means Entei's damage is going to cap out at about nowhere near enough. I think 120, 140. And it doesn't even knock out the Rotom V, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's why it is supported by those Iron Valiants. I don't know if you want to have the Iron Valiant in this matchup necessarily. So I'm curious to see how Hale is going to play this.
Well, we do know that Hale has been playing this version of the deck for the past several regionals, or sorry, has played Snorlax for the past several regionals, so knows that type of deck in and out. So probably knows how to play against this matchup. So I'm excited to see what Hale chooses to do as well. Longtime player, we should see some nice, clean gameplay here. And it sounds like Lucas has not been in the Masters division for very long. So I'm excited to see how this goes. We're going to jump back into the deck here on Hale's side with a Battle VIP Pass once again. So this is double Battle VIP Pass. Can only be played on the first turn. So having 2 of them at once, pretty nice. But as you can see there, Wancho just bringing out another Entei V onto the field. So not opting to go for those Iron Valiants seems to be the strategy so far from what we've seen. It's just going to be a pass back to Lucas.
Not even getting an energy there on Hale's side of the board, unfortunately. But we're going back now to Lucas going for the Pokegear. Again, I think the ideal supporter here that he's looking for is going to be those Misfortune Sisters, which he does find. And this is it. The way you beat, well, not necessarily beat, the way your mindset has to be when you're playing against a stall deck is you kind of have to switch it up. You start to turn your resources into prize card conversion, right? You have to think, I have 15 switch cards. Within those 15 switch cards are my only opportunities to be able to do damage. Can I get my prizes within that resource count?
Yeah.
But by using Misfortune Sister, you shave off a lot of those resources, and it's not necessarily guaranteed, but it is definitely very important to play.
Yeah, it's slow, it's grindy, it's whittling away at your opponent's resources, as you mentioned. It's a different type of play style, and it's one that, like I said, takes a lot of skill to play because you have to know exactly when to play each of your cards and hope that it works out for you. Let's look at these top 5 cards here from Lucas. He's going to be able to discard any of these item cards from these 5, and that's just going to be an escape rope going to the discard pile. That's definitely going to be a card Hale is going to be taking note of. That this is one less switch that I have, and we will be taking note of that here in the caster desk as well, because we had 2 switch out cards already in the prize cards as well.
Yes, so Hale here plays in total 15 ways to switch out. 12 actual item switches in escape rope, switch card, and switch, and 3 jet energy. So right now he's down 2 escape ropes.
Look at this, so 2 are in the hand right now for Hale as well. 2 escape ropes in the hand. We just saw the fleet-footed as well, drawing into that Forest Seal Stone for Hale too.
Yes, and again, right now hasn't put in the pressure, already lost 2 key resources, and even if Entei can start attacking at this moment, it's doing damage. I'm not going to say it's negligible damage, but it's not doing enough to take a prize necessarily.
It's working on it, Wancho. Slowly but surely.
But if you're attacking and not taking the knockout, it leaves Lucas open to use things like Penny to heal up the Snorlax, and then your last couple of turns were amounted to nothing, really, which is where Snorlax wants to be.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Well, we're seeing the Star Alchemy V-Star power here from Hale, using that V-Star power on the Entei V. Normally doesn't have one, but that card does give it one, and that's allows you to search out any card from your deck. So now we're going with an Earthen Vessel. This is going to allow Hale to discard a card and search for some energy cards out of the deck as well.
Ooh, big discard there in the Iron Valiant. Typically, you're thinking, hey, the Pokemon in the discard pile should be safe. This is something it can't gust up. It's not in the field. Yeah. But unfortunately, Lucas is, of course, playing the Echoing Horde item card, which is, well, no, there's two Valiants now. There's 2 targets from the discard pile can be played into the bench, and that could be the most optimal boss target, just because it has no attack. Hale's not playing any Psychic Energy. We're not going to see an Iron Valiant attack anytime soon. So that could be scary, but it's something Hale has to do. Yeah,
that's definitely a big card. Sound the Echoing Horn, and you get to take out a Pokemon from your opponent's discard, place it onto their bench. That is a key resource in this Snorlax stall build, because, like you said, you can bring something out, stick it in the active, and hope to run your opponent out of their resources. So it's a little risky there, Wancho, but hey, like I said, I kind of trust Hale in this situation, knowing how this Snorlax deck works, and now choosing to play Iron Valiant. We'll see how this rest of the match goes. We get the sounding Speaking of echoing horns here on show, I feel like that's probably what it sounds like, right?
It's the new feature here, the Pokemon trading card game. It's the with sounds now. No, but yes, we're gonna see here. Lucas actually used their Forest Seal Stone,
Yes.
I believe, to grab an Arven. Interestingly enough, I'm
Right.
curious, maybe trying to grab an HP increasing tool, likely Bravery Charm, and maybe just a way to get another support, another way to get Misfortune Sisters. We really, really do want to mill the switch cards out of Hale Obernolte's deck. And yeah, it looks like that is going to be the case there.
Yep.
Bravery Charm plus the Pokegear.
Yeah, you called that for sure. Bravery Charm coming out as the tool from the Arven, as well as that Pokegear as the item card. So we're just going to see a lot of cards being played here from Lucas's side that kind of put the pieces of this puzzle together. And that's exactly kind of how this Snorlax deck is shaping up.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas here is not in any pressure at all.
Nope.
That means he can go unaggressive. It's weird to say
Yeah,
for
right?
a control deck to go on the aggressive side, but it's attacking your deck, right? If Hale was able to put in damage into the Snorlax, maybe you force Lucas to use his resources into pennies or ways to heal switch out or whatnot, but no damage just yet. I'm going to try and find another Misfortune Sisters, maybe.
Maybe.
You opting to use a Pokegear right now, actually, but you have to remember that was grabbed off the Arven. That means you can't double supporter.
Yep, just going to secure a supporter to the hand. It's going to be that Iono off the Pokegear. Look at the top 7 cards, find a supporter in there, and put it into your hand. And speaking of the hand as well, Lucas stacking up a lot of cards here in the
Which is
hands.
the deck, which is the hand at this point, right?
I know, right? Exactly. But Iono being added to the hands there. Didn't see if there was any other supporter options, but there's a lot as far as cards go in the hand. As we said, there's 50 trainer cards in this deck from Lucas, so that is a majority of what we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, he has the Silene. I believe the supporter was already played this turn, no? Or maybe was it just a draw pass?
Oh, it may have been a draw pass, actually. I think maybe
On
Lucas...
top deck. He was looking for an energy, and it just so happened to be the perfect one for that situation.
That is perfect. Yeah, Jet Energy, another pivot card in this deck that allows you to attach it to a Pokemon, and that Pokemon shoots straight into the active position. So that's great. We got the fleet-footed ability happening there, and we're finally seeing some damage on board here from that Entei V. So we're back to Lucas now. Look at that hand, Wancho. Oh my gosh. And the damage is gone. Penny is going to scoop that Snorlax up out of the active position, promoting that Mimikyu into the active with a Bravery Charm attached, of course. Snorlax coming back onto the bench as well with a Bravery Charm of its own.
Yeah, again, just these Bravery Charms now make the Mimikyu just have so much HP. I think it just, now it has about 120, leaving it out of the Moltres' range on the bench, actually. So if Hale wants to knock out this Mimikyu, he's going to need to attack with the Moltres twice. And that's not a position we want to be in. Again, we already saw it. There is a penny in the deck, or played already, and that's one of the ways to really heal up these different types of Pokemon. But yeah, again, it's just going to be the Galarian Moltres attack. Mimikyu is damaged. And a penny.
Yeah, once again, Mimikyu gets some damage, 90 damage there, but the penny is going to scoop it back up here. Now the Snorlax is in the active after re-promoting. Penny's going to take that out, and it's just a nice little switch for you as well after picking up that Pokemon. Both these Pokemon coming back undamaged, no damage counters. This is just another way that you stop your opponent from being able to do much because, yeah, they're getting damage out there, and now it's wiped away, and you pretty much didn't have a turn.
At least Hale here is getting consistent attacks now.
Yes.
Moltres is probably one of the more ideal attackers in this position just because Entei can't get knockouts anyway. We're just doing 90 damage, might as well.
Yeah, thanks to that Inferno Wings taking the damage from the Magma Basin, allows it to do 70 additional damage, already does a base 20, so a nice 90 being placed onto that Snorlax and putting that pressure on consistently. That's all you can really do when you're facing off against one of these decks. Yeah,
one of the saddest things is this Snorlax actually has 200 effective HP right now. That means this Moltres is 3-shotting it.
That's a beefy Snorlax, I tell you what.
And then another big Misfortune Sisters played there. I believe, how many switches have we lost now at this point?
Oh, we lost Cal Macho. No. Oh, my goodness. Well, I see 2 switch cards on the top there. We know that an escape rope went down earlier. I know we've seen the promote with the jet energy. Did we see anything else?
I just missed how many were discarded off the misfortune, because that could have been absolutely huge. But either way,
I think it was just those 2.
Yes, but either way, Lucas here in a great position. And yeah, it looks like, again, it's 3 hitting this Snorlax. And you could already see what's in Lucas's hand.
Yeah, like literally everything.
More importantly, it's going to be that penny just to put it back into the active.
Yes.
I was thinking, though, maybe
Once
Lucas
again.
gives up 1 prize card just to activate counter catchers, too, at this point.
That would be
Because the awkward thing is they're both still at 6.
yeah, I know. We've been in this game for quite a bit, and not a single prize card has been taken from either side of our field here for our players.
Yes, cards have been drawn, damage has been taken.
And the damage has been taken off of the field as well.
Yeah.
Penny after penny. It's almost like endless pennies here in this deck.
It'll suddenly turn into $1 at one point, right? If you do it 100 times.
Yeah. At some point. Oh, that is funny. But I feel as though I'm starting to understand here why Lucas has only played 2 regionals in Masters Division and has day 2'd both, because this is phenomenal play here. Lucas just flying through this deck, knowing exactly what cards are needed, exactly what needs to be done each turn. And I'm loving it here.
Yeah, 100%. Again, Team Yale's cheer there, able to shuffle in combination of any 3, either Pokemon or supporters. Obviously, was going to be the supporters there.
Yes.
Getting even more resources into the very thin decks. You just know they're definitely going to draw into it. And hey, Lucas can switch out as well here.
Yeah.
Heal up that Snorlax, going to another one. Again, something you have to consider as well is that Hale, if he wants to take a knockout on this Snorlax, he has to spend something like a boss's orders at this point. And I talked about this earlier, where you have to convert your resources into prize cards, into switches even potentially. So if you boss up that Snorlax, that is as good as using a switch card, because you could have bossed up this Rotom as well at some point to be able to manually retreat a Pokemon. So by using a boss's orders is just equal to, again, just losing a switch.
Yeah, that is tough. And I mean, that really just emphasizes how important every single resource is here on Hale's side. You know, I've talked about how much skill it takes to be a control player to play this type of deck, but I arguably think it might take more skill to actually beat them, especially if you're not used to facing off with them. And we're seeing that here from Hale, just hoarding these resources and having to play them at the exact right times. Otherwise, that control player is going to capitalize off that. Iron Valiant coming into the active position from Hale here after a boss's orders, gusting it up from Lucas.
Yes, it's stuck in the active. We also did see the Pidgeot V come down on Lucas' side of the board, just to signify he cannot deck out here. Pidgeot V with the Vanishing Wings ability means it can always hop back into the deck no matter what. And again, now it's just back here to Hale. Iron Valiant, not the most ideal Pokemon in the active, has... Hale, again, should have a ton of switch card options. Just a matter of we're going to have to use one right now.
Yeah, you have to use it. You have to get that Iron Valiant out of the active position, back into this Moltres that's dealing some damage on to Lucas's field. So we're going to see the burning of that switch into the discard pile here. Another energy coming down onto that NTV as well, that fire energy. And Iron Valiant is now going to get a future booster capsule as well.
Yeah, a third energy attachment there onto the Entei is interesting. Maybe you're thinking Hale is probably preparing it for something like a Yakumo on Lucas' side of the board, which discards special energy, since one of those energies is a jet. Or even possibly Hale can opt to retreat that Entei maybe at some point if he chooses to pay the hefty 3 retreat cost. But either way, that Entei is ready and roaring to go.
Roaring to go indeed. Prepped and good. We have the Magma Basin that bumped another Temple of Sinnoh. There has been stadiums back and forth from both of these players. So a lot of stadiums have already been used. That's going to allow you to change out one of these basic Pokemon from your prize cards with the Hisuian Heavy Ball. As we saw when we first took a look at prize cards from our players, there were 2 block Snorlaxes in the prize cards. So one of them is going to come out, be replaced with that Heavy Ball, and the prize cards are shuffled back up and put down.
Yes, at this point, Lucas literally has one card left in deck. Do you know what that card is, Boo?
What could it be, Juancho?
It's that Pidgeot. And it's always only
It's
gonna
always
be
only going to be that.
Pidgeot.
Well, not necessarily, because you could shuffle back some other cards maybe. But yes, the Pidgeot is what remains true to this deck. And that is really the key. I don't even think you could have this deck without the Pidgeot. So that's going to be the card that's continued to being recycled. So no worries. You might say, oh, it's about to end. It's only one card. No, it's not over.
Oh, interesting play there by Lucas. Opted to play the Misfortune Sisters. And I believe he did find an Ultra Ball in the 5 cards, but opted to not discard the Ultra Ball. Just really trying to dig for those switch cards. And but yeah, and then once again, Stadium being played. That means deactivating Jet Energy.
Which
Halo
I mean,
should still have 2 of.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And-
Jet Energy not able to be used for the effect, at least, thanks to that Temple of Sinnoh that bumped the Magma Basin, absolutely. We've seen, again, a lot of those stadiums being used now, back and forth. How many do we even have left, actually? It's got to be it, right? It's got to have already been 4. There's a lot of Magma Basin out there before, but now we have the Snorlax in the active position here with that Bravery Charm making the HP mega boosted here on that Snorlax, as we've seen before. I mean, there's been a lot of damage that has been put out from Hale's side of things, but the damage has not stuck, and there's still only 1 prize card that has been taken here in our game so far. And there's only 28 minutes on the clock, too, Juancho.
Yes, and again, I mentioned it earlier, something we do have to mention is that the Iron Valiant does have the Future Booster Energy Capsule, which essentially means it does have free retreat.
Yes.
So if Hale can find a way to boss's orders this Rotom, not only do you get potentially a 2 prize attack off, you get to move this Valiant back into the bench, which is great for free. That's essentially a switch, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And that might be the case here. That's why we do see filling up the bench, meaning we are going to try and get off a bigger attack. However, Lucas has actually played this masterfully, where I think Entei's damage output is capped off right now at 180. And there's the boss's orders.
Oh,
we get
here
the
we
free
go.
retreat, but again, 180, not enough. Rotom has 190 HP. We're gonna pay
Oh,
it.
the Tachyon bits. Yeah, the Tachyon bits, that's going to be moved into the active position, allowing you to activate that ability, get those extra 2 damage counters onto that Rotom V here from Hale, and then we're using the switch to get into that Entei V, and that will be enough, of course, after this fleet-footed to draw into an additional card from the Entei. Yeah, just enough, Juancho. Just enough after that Tachyon bits coming in clutch here, but that's more resources down now. But again, that's 2 prize cards off the Rotom V.
Yes.
Hale only needs 3 more to take this game 1.
Yes, Hale translating 2 resources into 1 prize card. The boss's orders and the switch there. Typically, you against the boss stall deck, or the Snorlax deck, you want to turn those switches into your attacker.
Yeah.
But again, Hale needed that damage, so we went into the Tachyon bits first. And again, we saw there, Misfortune Sisters getting 1 more switch card out of the deck and trying to keep. At this point,
They're dropping.
how many switch cards do we have left?
Yeah, I was about to say, well, it looks like Lucas is taking a look at the resources in the discard pile on Hale's side of the field. It's 4 switch card in the deck, and a lot have been used. At least 3.
Yes, and again, right now, Mimikyu in the active, leaving the Entei safe and sound. But again, this is where we could see why Hale opted to power up this Entei.
Oh my gosh.
Because it
Another
can
Magma
retreat.
Basin.
Mimikyu has Safeguard, not block.
Yes.
And that is definitely a way to get out of the active without having to lose any switching resources, at the very least.
At the very least, indeed. Well, we saw the fleet-footed for another Magma Basin. There is a switch cart in the hand as well for Hale as far as resources go. Did take a look at this giant discard pile from Lucas, keeping track of those resources on the other side of the field. Looks like debating putting another energy onto this Entei V in the active position, but taking it back to the hand, taking a quick look at the hand first, and gonna opt to put it onto the Entei.
Entei with 4 fire energy.
Well, not
4
anymore.
energy.
Yes.
And 3 energy now hitting the discard pile. But, of course, we have ways to get that back. I'm almost curious to say that maybe we could have held off on the Magma Basin, play those, again, in a combination turn where you need to play those jet energies, because we do know Lucas does have ways to, again, getting a Valiant stuck in the active, Pidgeot into the deck.
Of course, these are the motions of this control style deck. Counter Catcher being activated because you are behind in the prize card race. And then, the Pidgeot going right back into the deck, the single card that will always be recycled back so that Lucas can control this entire hand. And I just want to emphasize here, for maybe people who aren't used to seeing control decks, there is one card that is just remaining in the actual deck here. The entire deck is in Lucas's hand. That's what this style of deck will give you. All the resources you could imagine at your hands, at your fingertips. You just have to use them in an appropriate way to get you to a win. So how are you feeling about this match so far? Where do you see this heading from here, Wancho?
I feel like Lucas has complete control, pun not intended.
Hey.
No, but complete control of this matchup so far. But, I mean, Hale's very close. 3 prizes left. And it's just a matter of how many switch cards we still have. And unfortunately, even one switch doesn't translate automatically into a prize card. So
yeah, it's not good. You need the
Hale
full
might
potential.
as well still have 6 prizes at this point, right?
Yeah.
If he's 2-shotting every Pokemon, that's like saying that, hey, he still has 6 prizes to take. Again, Lucas just has complete control at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's emphasis on the name here. It feels like that when you get to the point of the movie where the title of the movie is like in the movie. The control has been activated here for
Then
sure.
you roll credits, right?
Yeah. Well, we are going to see another future booster capsule come down onto this Iron Valiant EX on the bench here. Of course, that NTV can't really tell too bad, but it is in the active position here, getting that damage out.
Making full use of another jet energy attachment there.
Oh, okay, great.
And getting damage on board, again, is great. But Penny, and then I like the little wheelhouse Lucas has here where he goes into Snorlax, then goes into the Mimikyu, and then back into Snorlax, just forcing Hale to, again, manually retreat Entei himself sometimes. But Hale himself, though, has been playing perfectly around that by putting 3 energies on that Entei, immediately using Magma Basin to recur that energy at the very least. So at some point, that stadium has to go. If I was Lucas, I'd be looking for a way to get that to the discard pile, find myself another stadium for sure, just because he's been using it to full effect greatly.
Yep, and here we go, Counter Catcher to bring up that Iron Valiant. Of course, we see picking up that Pokemon with the Penny as well. We have the Snorlax in the active.
Yes, Snorlax in the active. Again, unfortunately, the Valiant doesn't get the damage output, the Tachyon bits, when your opponent switches it to the active. I'm sure Hale would love to have that. But again, Valiant now in the active. Both of the Valiants have the booster energy attached. Interesting that the Valiant is the one gusted up instead of something like the Squawkabilly. But Squawkabilly can attack, does 20 damage, so could be the case here.
That's true. That is true.
As, again, we do have Magma Basin. We're getting more energies off the discard pile onto that Entei. Just being able to... I'm sure Hale almost wishes Entei had a second attack. Something that even costs 5 energy to do like 300 damage or something.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, that's where this deck, this control deck can really shine, especially if it can take even more control of your deck because it can limit your damage output. And that's really what, unfortunately, falls to this NTV. The Burning Rondo can only do so much, and it's dependent on your opponent's board. So that's really kind of the issue here right now in this matchup for Hale. If he did have a different type of Pokemon that could just swing super big and take out this very bulky Snorlax with that Bravery charm on it, it'd be a bit of a different story. But we are going to be seeing this escape rope now from Hale. So that's another resource down here. Bringing up this Iron Valiant. Of course, that's going to activate the Tachyon bits on this Iron Valiant EX for those 2 damage counters. And that is a way for Hale to kind of fight back in this matchup, getting those extra damage counters out and then hopefully swinging for more damage, just getting as much damage on the field as possible and trying to whittle away at these Pokemon. And we're just going to see the Moltres now with that 90.
Yeah, again, I just have to reiterate what a heads-up play there by Hale, just using that escape rope at that specific moment, punishing Lucas actually for playing down with a low board where normally, you typically want at least 2 Snorlax in play just so that when you play the escape rope, you can't free retreat right after. But since Lucas was trying to maybe mitigate damage mitigate the damage on the Entei, forced himself into a position where Mimikyu was forced into the active. That means Hale got a free Tachyon bit off because now switching into the Valiant, which has the tool, does free retreat then into the main attacker. So 20 unnecessary damage there.
But the future booster capsule is carrying some weight for sure in this matchup. That is definitely true. We did see the Peonia as the supporter for this turn from Lucas. That allows you to switch around your prize cards a bit. You take 3 of your prize cards and switch 3 other cards in your hand into your prize cards. So if you have something stuck in there that you need, you can try to get it out with that Peonia. So that was our supporter there. We saw the counter catcher now. Once again, bringing that Pokemon up.
And it's so close here. Hale could almost take another prize card. There's damage on the board right now. Penny hasn't been used just yet on the Snorlax or the Mimikyu. Yeah. If Hale plays something like an escape rope, once again, Lucas is going to be forced to bring up one of those beat up Pokemon. Fortunately, that Snorlax has 150 HP thanks to the Bravery Charm still. So it's actually still out of range from Entei. I believe Entei's doing 100 and... Oh, no, it should be knockout. 5, 6, 7. No, it should be a knockout here on either of these Pokemon.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're just going to go into that Entei.
Yeah, that's the escape rope here. Snorlax being promoted, Entei V being promoted on Hale's side. After that, is this the moment we've been waiting for? It is, Wancho. That's going to be enough damage here from the Entei V to take another knockout. It's been a long time coming here, Wancho, but we got there. Hale Obernolte is going to go down another prize card here in this game between our players. Oh,
this is where things get very, very scary. Mimikyu has a lot of damage. Hale's down to 2. He just needs to take out 2 more Pokemon.
2 more.
Or maybe Lucas could bench the Pidgeot and forget to put it back.
I don't think that's going to happen, Wancho, but I guess there's never a 0 chance, right? We're going to see the Silene, and he heads here. Oh, and it's a double heads. Getting these cards out of the discard pile here for Lucas.
Silene isn't Penny, though.
No,
so this damage on the Mimikyu is going to stick for at least this turn.
That is true. Maybe the resources are running thin here on this side for Lucas as well. We're going to see 2 of them being taken back out of this discard pile here and placed into the deck for Lucas. Passing over to Hale now. Are we sitting in the driver's seat here, Wancho?
Is Hale about to go down to 1 prize? This Entei, again, with 1 million energy at this point, is going to be able to retreat onto that Moltres. Take a knockout on the Mimikyu. Hold up. Is Hale going to do the impossible here and beat control? And yeah, we do see the retreat. Mimikyu is very, very beat up.
Very wounded and ready to get knocked out here by this Moltres. Of course, we see the Magma Basin again, as we've seen this entire game, re-accelerating that energy onto that Entei V. And that's another prize card here for Hale. Taking out the Mimikyu, we are left with just a single Snorlax in the active position here with a Bravery Charm, of course, making it 200 HP on that Snorlax. And where do we see this go from here now,
It's
Ancho?
Snorlax against the world at this point.
Exactly.
This time, Lucas cannot miss a beat here. If there's any damage at all on a Snorlax, you find those pennies and get them back into hand, heal them. You can't lose any Pokemon at this point. Looks like Super Rod being played there, getting the water energy there back into the deck. Does play it specifically for what Pokemon is that, Boo?
I know what you want me to do, Wancho.
All right, okay.
I know what you want me to do, but I want to see it.
Okay.
I want to see it here.
All right, that's fair enough. But isn't there for a very specific reason, which we could see? Unfortunately, it's not going to be attacking for damage. But hey, it's a water Pokemon.
It's there. I haven't even seen it in there, actually, in the hands. I know it's there somewhere, of course. It's in the deck.
It's right there. I see it in the hand.
See it.
Yeah.
The full art. All right, it's on here right now. All right, you want to do it with me, Wancho? You ready? Oh, Jeremy switched it.
Okay, well,
right.
when it comes out.
Okay, yes. If it comes down. We're going into a Sydney here now, which is going to allow Lucas to control Hale's hand a bit as well.
The important thing there was, yes, they got to discard a tool. They probably would have loved to hit the last Jet Energy, I believe, hopefully. But they got complete knowledge of Hale's hand at this point.
That's true.
That's something you do not want to give a Snorlax player.
No, not at all. You don't want to give a control player more control of the board at all. And yeah, seeing your entire hand is definitely that. But I'm sure already kind of being aware of what is left, but also knowing how many switch cards are left in the hand or are in the hand in general is pretty big for the control player to have knowledge of. Hale's going to take a look here at the rest of the resources in the discard pile for Lucas as well. We're going to see the Magma Basin accelerating another one of these Fire Energy, taking up that Entei V, another 2 damage counters.
Yes, but again, I believe Hale still has that switch card in hand to be able to go onto the Entei, so at least getting an attack off. Again, we're two-shotting this Snorlax.
And here's the first shot here, technically.
I'd love to build the suspense and say, does Lucas have the penny? But they have the entire hand, the world in their hand, right?
Yeah. Of course, if you pennied with nothing else down, then.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. That'd be a bit awkward, huh? You do have to have another.
Wait. Is there no penny? I'm looking at the hand here. I don't see a full art. It could still be in the discard pile because Palpad hasn't been used yet.
Oh, okay.
Wait. I believe?
Oh my gosh! That's going to be the extension from Lucas here.
They just didn't have the Palpad to put the penny back in. They had the world in their hand. Unfortunately, was not enough. No penny. I remember, yes, the Palpad was put back with the Silene, was not able to draw it, though.
Oh, my goodness. What an incredible way for this to end. But Hale Obernolte has done the impossible, has played the control deck time and time again, knows the ins and outs of it, and was able to exploit it here with Iron Valiant and Entei V. That is incredible. Taking down this control match, taking this first win here in our game.
Again, there's not that much time left in the control match.
There's not.
So essentially winning one game, it means you win the entire match. So Hale Obernolte actually is going to be winner for this round.
Yes.
Huge congratulations to Hale.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Lucas is going to concede there because, you know, as we so often see with these matches, you don't have time for another game. I mean, you saw how long that one was, Wancho. If you're going to lose it, you're going to lose it. Hale Obernolte is going to take the overall win here in our Swiss Round 13 featured community choice stream match, as we see some highlights here going through our only game between these players. We just saw penny after penny being utilized here to pick up these Pokemon time and time again as soon as Hale was putting damage on board. And Lucas was controlling the hands completely, making sure to keep track of resources, but it wasn't enough. Hale played these cards perfectly in time as far as we had our switches, and everything was just flawless here from Hale's side of the field.
Yes, I think, honestly, maybe it just came down to the last couple of turns. Maybe the turn you played the Sydney, maybe a different supporter could have been used at that turn to try and get penny back into deck, maybe like something like a Team Yells here if they had access to it. Because again, it just came down to these pennies. To just spare change. You just didn't have the spare change to finish out this match.
Not the spare change. Oh, yes.
And, but yeah, Hale just being able to have those switches, plan out correctly those Entei's, the Moltres, over-attaching to one Entei, going all out at the right time.
Yep, and look at that. We have our fist bump between our players. Hale Obernolte is our winner in our Swiss round there for you all. Our featured stream match. We hope you enjoyed that one because that was your pick, the community choice there. You wanted to see Snorlax control, we got you Snorlax control, so hopefully it was a good match for you. It's always nice to show an alternative deck, as I've been saying, an alternative win condition deck, and I'm happy with the way it turned out, Wancho. I think it was really cool to see. Of course, we didn't see it win here on the stream. Hale was able to take things down with Valiente, and so maybe if you can't beat control, maybe you should pick up a Valiente deck, huh?
I mean, Iron Valiant Entei in that position is the rogue deck, right?
Yeah.
Because Snorlax Control has been in the metagame for this entire metagame.
Yes.
But Iron Valiant Entei has been seeing fringe play every now and then. So I was very interested to see how that game was going to end up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to admit that has not been part of any of my testing, that specific matchup.
Same.
And on paper, again, it makes sense. Valiant or Entei has a million switches.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get stuck in the active, potentially. But Misfortune Sisters, a great card to really mill those switches out. And the way that you can mitigate damage on the Entei, you have control on Entei's damage as well.
I know, that's wild. That is wild. And that's what I'm saying. You really can't just pick up the deck and play it. I think what that came down to was the extreme skill here from Hale Obernolte, knowing how the Snorlax deck worked, the ins and outs, and knowing exactly what the card counts and everything were in his deck as well. So even when those switch outs